This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 514 for the week of Monday, April 9th, 2018. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And we have very special guest translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul, with us this week. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, I'm here, and there's no new chapter? What?
Yeah, so it was 900 chapters. As we discussed last week, One Piece, reached its weird conclusion after that. So this week, we're going to go through volume 88. And I was just kidding, probably, about the manga never coming back again, probably. Stephen, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing on this week's episode?
Yeah, we're going to be going through the SBS and related features for volume 88 of One Piece, which is titled Lion. And we'll go through all of that stuff. That is the most recent volume out in Japan. And I believe, what did you say, Ed, that it's tentatively slated for November of this year for English release?
Yeah, I think the American releases are 8 to 9 months behind Japanese.
Should probably look that up at some point. Look forward to that. We're recording portions of this a little earlier than we usually do, so if there is additional material, you'll notice that after the volume recap. And other than that, I think we could probably get straight into the show, except that I do want to mention, please support us on Patreon if you haven't, at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Your support keeps us on the air, and we also have cool exclusives, outtakes, special episodes, special video episodes. There are some new ones that will be coming this week as well. I think that basically does it, unless there's anything else you guys want to go through while I stall for time. Wait, I actually have the answer here. One Piece Volume 88 comes out November 6th, 2018 in the United States from Viz.
There you go.
Check your local distributor to see when it comes out for you, or you could pick up the Japanese version now on Amazon Japan, which is really easy to navigate in English, and I warn you, you may end up spending a lot of money if you go there. But yeah, that'll do that for the intro. Let's get into the show.
Okay.
Hey everyone, so this next segment includes images, so when you hear this noise, that means that, Ed, you actually have to make the noise. There's a noise I added in there, but anyway, when you hear the noise, or Ed make a ka-ching noise, which I should just edit next time, that means you could also watch along on your YouTube video or your iPhone, hopefully, if those features still exist. It is something that a lot of podcast players have been taking away. So please let your podcast distributors know that you do enjoy also watching your podcast. So with that, let's get into the volume recap.
Ching.
This is the recap of volume 88, Lion. And Stephen, why don't you take us through the cover?
Oh, the cover, yes. This is quite a kaleidoscope here of Luffy busting through what looks like a panel of glass, maybe?
A mirror.
Oh, the mirror, of course.
Mirror
yes.
World.
And
Did you already repress Mirror World for members?
And so all of the bunch of the Straw Hats and related allies of are on those little shards that are breaking away, and then there's like a yellow background where we see Capone and Chiffon and Pudding, and then we have a Carrot in her Sulong form howling at the moon on the very top. I like the purple and yellow, good complementary color mix there. That seems to about wrap it up.
The silhouette of a carrot on the Sulong on the moon.
I love this cover, actually. It reminds me of, I think it's volume 53, the one where Luffy's kind of punching out of Impel Down. I don't know if you...
You gotta think about, like, how many characters have appeared twice on the same volume cover? Like, because Carrot's on here twice.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's a nice little honor to have.
It's a question, I think.
Yeah, we just have to look through 88 volumes to tell which one of those.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than I think this is probably one of the better designed Whole Cake Island covers.
Yeah, it's a neat layout, I think. Even if the how the various layers are intended to fit together is somewhat of a mystery, as it so often is. But yeah.
Well, the second layer looks like all non-Straw Hats, and then maybe Carrot.
Yeah,
she's on both, so
she's standing on something, but yeah, who knows? But if we go underneath the dust cover and look at the actual cover of the book, well, let's see. Okay, there's Luffy. He's the same. Let's see. Carrot, Sanji, Chiffon, Jimbei, Capone, Brook, Pudding, Chopper, Nami. Nope, I don't see any. Oh, there is Panda Man. He is the one howling at the moon with a beautiful tuft of hair.
Hair.
Yeah, if you do a comparison, like he removed all of the like fancy lines of like the waviness of her hair, so it's just like this kind of cancerous growth that is coming out of the back of his neck.
I imagine it as a giant panda afro.
Yeah. I guess that's the implication, but yeah, very very silly. So that is there's your Panda Man for this cover. And the author's comment on the inside flap is kind of a doozy. And
this
actually, I'm going to be a bit of a how do I phrase this in PG term? I'm going to be a bit of a PPTs here, and I'm not going to give you. So this what Oda wrote here is a drawing song, as they call it in Japanese, which is like, okay. It's intended to be like, this is how you draw this, simple object, and they write a little song that goes along with it that kind of describes the various stages of drawing the thing.
You've seen these in like I think the anime Kuroro Gunso had one as an ending song. They had to draw the members of the platoon.
Song. Yeah, it's a very like kids like Raffi type, children's programming type of thing. That they do a lot in Japan. And so he wrote a song. And actually, I worked on this before Big Mom's song, but it's very kind of similar where there's some complex rhyming stuff that he does. And I really did it up in the same fashion. But I'm not going to read that. I'm going to let that one sit until the volume actually comes out.
In November, I think, right?
Yeah, whenever that happens to be, it'll be a while. But you can look forward to that. But I will give you the kind of literal version here, which is step one here. You get this little oval, and the lyric is, there was a single pond, and in parentheses, yo. And then the second step, there's a little circle in it. And he says, and a ball fell in parentheses, shock. Or is it an eye that is looking downward? In parentheses, eye. And in step three, there's like a little leg that kind of drops down from it. And it says, a tear has fallen from the eye. And then on the fourth one, there's another one that comes down. And it said, another tear has come down, in parentheses, don't cry. Oh dear, you've got a scandal, a company scandal, and in parentheses, don't worry or don't mind. That's the Japanese phrase. And all of a sudden, you have an apology press conference, and that's the big line there, written larger than the rest. And he finishes with, at this time, we are so very teehee, stick out the tongue. So that's a thing. Tehe pero, which is like, it's supposed to be like teehee, and then pero is the sound of your tongue popping out, and it's supposed to be like a very insincere, like, whoops, silly me. You can imagine putting the hand on the back of the head, like teehee pero. And so that's That is the song. It looks like it's a pond, and then it's an eye, and no, it turns out it is actually a guy bowing with his head straight at the camera.
Okay.
So that's his author's comment. He was
Wonder what that's
feeling
about.
he was feeling a little he was feeling creative at this time, I think. So yeah, that in the finished volume, like I said, that will be a fully rhyming, rather silly little song. So look forward to that. There's as usual, I think for the last couple of volumes, because this arc is so huge, there are 3 pages of character profiles, including the Straw Hats, the Big Mom Pirates, Germa 66, the Fire Tank Pirates, the Sun Pirates, and the Minx.
And Pedro is kind of shaded.
Yes, it does not literally say anything about his condition, but yeah, he is he's kind of darkened out there. And yes, this is Lion. Obviously, it's going to include the infamous Carrot chapter, and this volume covers from 880, which was which one? What was that called? Zero Escape. Up through chapter 889, Unfamiliar Mama.
It's basically the Big Mom running after the Straw Hat arc of the arc.
Yeah, we start. Let's see. The first chapter is the one that ends with her on the tidal wave that's about to crush the Sunny, and then we end with her jumping and landing on the Sunny.
It takes the entire volume
yeah.
for her to get onto the Sunny.
Oh boy, there's a lot of chasing in this arc. So yeah, we will start with the first SBS segment, and we start with the header here is Katakuri using his future powers, and he says, "I know what you were about to say, Eiichiro Oda. The SBS will now begin." And then Oda, points up to it, and he's like, "What? How could you tell? How did you? Damn, you read the future." And he's true. I was going to say that. Oh, darn. And so there you go. There's the title call. Our first regular question is from a reader. Actually, we start with an educational question for once, and it is from someone who includes some Nepali in their letter, and they say, "Is the Garchu Odachi, is the mink greeting Garchu based on the Nepali phrase Timilai Maya Garchu, meaning I love you?" And that is from pen name I Hope Wanda Garchus Me. And Oda says, "That is correct. You are correct. Seems fitting for the minks, doesn't it?" So yeah, I think someone had pointed that out, that was like the only place where you could find the word Garchu, the only language. So yeah, it turns out that was indeed where he got it from.
Cool.
And our next question is, "I want to Garchu with Nami." And Oda says, "Next question." And of course, he included some handy inserts of Nami and Carrot at the bathing scene when they were at Capone's hideout. And our next question is, "Are Carrot and Wanda's breasts furry and jiggly, or are they smooth and jiggly?" And Oda gives us some question. That's good. That's a very good question, actually. Well, you see, their bodies are covered in fur, so naturally they would be furry and jiggly. Okay. Knock it off. Enough of this. What's with all these perverted questions? Okay. Sorry, I got a little worked up. That was, that wasn't very mature of me. And so there you go. And the final question from this first SBS segment is, "Help me, Odachi. I'm like Luffy. I've got, must scarf down food or I will die itis." So it's, yes, a return of the something or I will die itis. And it says, yes, this is more like it. Yeah, I want the heartwarming questions from just, little kids who don't know any better. That's right. Isn't that right, pen name Hiroto? Yeah, sometimes you just eat too much. That may be a sign of hypoglycemia. By repeatedly binging on food, you lose stamina and possibly suffer from sleep loss, which could lead to bigger illnesses down the line. Is your work causing you stress? ... changing your diet to, ... And he says, "I'm sorry, that wasn't very mature of me either." and he cries. So
Was it? Okay.
So basically, he treats the little kid like he's his doctor or something, and does not give him the proper response, like oh you silly kids. So we'll move on to the second SBS segment, which is the header is from I think this is we've seen this person before. They're from Hong Kong, and their name is 420 Land.
Really?
Which always gives me a chuckle. And this one is of looks like Cracker and Katakuri and Smoothie, three of the 3-star generals as we know them, and they are forming the SBS with their powers. And yes, the first question is about Smoothie's beverages, the things that she squeezes. I can't even imagine what the taste of these various drinks could possibly be, but there is one that does make sense to me. The giraffe, or in its Japanese form, kirin, just like a certain popular adult beverage. Are you a fan too, Odachi? Oda says, "Oh yeah, I sure am. Yeah, you nailed that one." Stussy even mentions its smooth mouthfeel in the bottom panel. How very strange that when you squeeze a kirin, you should receive a beer instead. Boy, nothing sure hits the spot on a hot summer day like a cold pint of giraffe. And
yes. Ichiban.
Yes. So yeah, I guess that was the joke there. And I was actually talking to this about Greg, and I think we possibly nailed down that. Well, the other two were the babe who stabbed 100 men, which could be a Bloody Mary, I guess, and the other one was the volcanic rock from a volcano, Mount Maori or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's a tropical cocktail in Hawaii known as like a lava flow or something like that. So that could be the inspiration for the other ones.
Where do they get the Zima? I know that's popular in Japan, isn't
it? Is it? I don't
know. Please, listeners, let us know what animal or thing Zima comes from.
Yeah. And so the next question is about the panda girl, the one with the the panda hood and the crazy sharp teeth. The reader wants to know, who is that? What's the deal with her? And Oda says that is the 19th daughter, Charlotte Poir, and she is the twin sister of Galette, the Minister of Butter. So there you go. She's kind of interesting because Galette has that real nasty look in her eyes, like she's she's got a real sharp look to her, and Poir, like her eyes look more like Pudding's eyes, but then she's got these crazy sharp teeth. So both of them have some kind of mix of looks there. And lastly, continuing on the Charlotte family theme, this reader wants to know the age and the height of Cracker and Smoothie, the other two sweet generals, and then has a follow up who wants to know, who says, "All right, I must admit I've become enraptured with Charlotte Prospero. The more I see him, the more I fall in love. Please tell me his height and his most and least favorite foods." So Oda decides to combine these questions so we get the little profiles of Prospero, Cracker, and Smoothie. So Prospero is 50 years old. He is 333 centimeters tall, which would be 10 foot 11. His favorite
12 feet with the hat.
His favorite food is candy, and his least favorite food, yeah, I know, and his least favorite food is mint candy, which is weird because he definitely has the candy cane thing going on.
Why would even candy be one of his least favorite foods? Why wouldn't it be like broccoli or something the opposite of candy?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There's more reason for me to hate Perospero. And I know a lot of people out there for some reason think that's ridiculous, but I hate him.
Yes.
Stephen.
Next is Charlotte Cracker, who is age 45. He is 10'1". I don't know if that includes the little hair spike or not. That's 307 centimeters. His favorite food is biscuits, aka cookies, not the down south kind. And his least favorite is kimchi and carbonated drinks. So there you go. Lastly, we have Charlotte Smoothie. She is 35. She is 464 centimeters tall, which would be 15'3". Her favorite food is smoothies, and her least favorite food is meat. So
she is Luffy's sworn enemy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, and that is the second SBS segment. We will move ahead to the third. The SBS here is from the header, I should say, is one of, again, one of the regular header senders, I love OP. And it is of doing her memory powers. Oh, how we miss those.
Yeah.
A very cute one. She's doing the SBS with the film there.
I didn't know there were such big Ron Howard fans in Japan.
Yes,
what?
She's the.
Yeah, they love Opie.
Oh.
Oh God. All right. The first question is from someone who is. It just opens up immediately with Oda Sensei. I kept my promise. Will you come to the wedding? And Oda says, wow, hey, everybody, check this out. Look at this. Here's this SBS from volume 58. And it reprints them. The old question was, hey, Mr. Oda, I have, I've someone I've promised that that we can get married if you put this question in the SBS. So please print this. You have to make my day, Odachi. And Oda said at the time, he said, sure thing. There you go. Here, now it's posted. Who's the lucky man? You better keep your promise. And so back to the present day SBS. Oda says, hey, look at they're getting married now. And it's thanks to the SBS. Wow. I guess this segment finally served a good purpose. I can't make it to the ceremony, but congrats and many blessings. Also, I'm not doing this again, so no copycats. So I guess Oda has learned he has learned the lesson that so many brands and their retweets have not learned on Twitter, that you can't, all the copycats, don't give in to them. So there you go. Somebody has allegedly gotten married because of the SBS. The next question is, this is from Sanapi, or in parentheses, Sanadachi. And the question is, Katakuri is a real handsome guy. Did you model him after me? And Oda says, I think I might have. And the next one is from it's what's on the inside that matters, in parentheses, Sanadachi. The question is, Lola and Chiffon sure are ugly. Did you model them after my wife? And Oda's response is, Sanadachi, I think it would do you some good to get stepped on by your wife. And the last one is also from Sanadachi, and it says, that Pez, he's so cute, huh? But my son is cuter. And Oda's reply is, well, okay, you guys seem to be, your family seems to be doing just fine. You're all getting along fine and dandy. So there you go. He's got some, I don't know, family rivalry going on with the families in One Piece.
I think
apparently.
Too much money has made Oda weird.
I think that guy is way weirder than Oda is, but okay.
Well, these are the questions that he chooses to put in the volume, right?
Yeah, true.
Is it his editors or I mean?
I don't know.
That's a good question. All right.
Yeah, I would guess that they probably read through them and pick out like, here's some good ones, here's some interesting. Which of these do you want to go for? And then he comes up with his goofy stuff. But I have no idea.
I think they deliberately pick some really weird ones.
All right, on to the next SBS segment. The header here is from Takahisa Fujimoto, who often writes in these, I guess, kind of pencil-based ones. This one has, oh man, it's got a whole bunch of stuff. Caesar is there,
Your favorite character.
Yes. Oh my God.
You don't
Why am
remember the name of your favorite character?
Kingbaum is there. It looks like General Frankie too, possibly, unless that's just the setting. And then Chopper, who is always on them, and he's got the fake Brook, the little skeleton on his backpack. So yeah, a big mishmash of stuff there. And our first question is we're getting to the birthday segment here. This one is for the triplets, Katakuri, Daifuku, and Oven. The suggestion is for November 25th because 1, 1, and 2, 2, and 5 will fit inside the phrase I Onisan Mitsugo, which means cool triplet brothers or older brothers. And Oda's like, how about that? How about it? How about if I say sure? And so there you go. That's the birthday for those guys. And next we have a bit of a lineup here. Here's the questions were, if the rookies in the worst generation had modern day jobs, what careers would they have? And another person asked, in volume 56, you told us the countries that you imagined the Straw Hats being inspired by or kind of related to. So tell us the countries for the supernovas. You'll tell us, won't you?
Wonder if there'll be anyone from Africa.
I wonder if he'll be fighting a continent instead of a country.
Let's find
out.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not ready.
So yeah, Oda says we'll combine these two questions about the worst generation. I will leave out Luffy and Zoro, obviously, since they've already been taken care of, and you can consider Killer to fall under kids category. So we start with Marshall D. Teach. He is from, I don't know if I want to say from, I'm going to say from just for simplicity's sake, but it's not as simple as that. He is from Somalia.
I mean, real pirates.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But his career would be archaeologist. So maybe it's kind of like a history angle, like human history.
I mean, there are a lot of archaeologists in that part of Africa too. I mean, that is.
Well, I mean, he is the captain now. Look at him.
That's so stupid.
I was going to say, what's the one gorge? That's in Tanzania, right? Where the
Olduvai Gorge. Yeah, it's in Kenya or Tanzania, I think.
Right.
Cradle of civilization.
Right. Next is Eustace Captain Kidd, who would be from Scotland, and he would be a weapons dealer. And in parentheses, Killer is, I guess he's assumed to be from Scotland as well, but he would be a pasta chef.
Wow, he's really into pasta Killer. So
he's got to cook his own food.
So I imagine Kid being in like some sort of James Bond villain. Then he's just a deep Scottish accent weapons dealer. Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of which.
Is he Scottish because he has red hair?
I mean, with Oda, it's probably for the most superficial of reasons, but who knows? Yeah. I mean, I like Somalia for Blackbeard. I think there's several layers to that you could take that. Also, it's not just Africa this time. He learned his lesson.
Right.
He chose a country in Africa. So.
Yep. Next is Trafalgar Law. He is from Germany, and he would be a doctor. So that is pretty straightforward.
I mean,
a lot
he's
of
from
the
Japan.
Medical.
So unrealistic. I mean,
he's not from Germany.
Nobody from Germany could hate bread that much.
No.
Well, the German angle is for all the medical science and a lot of Japanese terminology, like medical terminology, comes from German.
Probably why the main character in Monster is a Japanese doctor practicing in Germany.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that was a big part of the idea for Urasawa.
Oh, I love that book. Yeah.
Yeah. Next is Capone Gangbedge. I'll give you one guess as to what country he's from.
New York City? No.
New York City. No, he's from Italy.
New York City.
And he is a shoemaker. He's a cobbler.
I mean, he's a quote-unquote cobbler. You know, yeah, we all know what he's actually doing.
Yeah, it's a front.
Fronties shoe store.
Next
wait,
is
what would the name of his front shoe store be?
storefront. High quality shoes. I don't know. Next is Scratchman Apu, and he is from China, and he would be a DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Next is Basil Hawkins.
Wait, I got it. The name would be Capone's High Quality Shoe Establishment.
Okay.
All right. Next is Basil Hawkins, and he would be from Egypt. So there you go, 2 countries in Europe, or in Africa, I should say.
Close.
Yeah, and he would be an interior designer.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's for like feng shui purposes or something. All of his horoscope, fortune telling stuff.
Feng shui,
Yes.
good at that.
Next would be Diaz Drake, ex-Drake, and he is from Turkey, apparently, and he would be a zookeeper.
I like that.
Well, he is in Kaido's group, right? So,
Yeah.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
possibly, yeah. Jewelry Bonnie is from Australia, and she would be a pizza chef. Which, I mean, okay, yeah, she's been seen eating pizza, so
Would she make any money at that, or eat all of the pizzas?
right. You ate all the stock of ingredients again. I don't know. Aruj is the last one. He would be from India, and he would be a hostess club manager.
Wow.
The manager,
because-
of course.
Yeah. Well, he is known for loving his debauchery.
And that smile.
So,
that
yeah.
creepy smile.
He's the fallen monk. So, oh boy, he's a weirdo.
Interesting stuff.
So that is it. Yeah, that's it. And his last little comment is, "This is just what pops in, off the top of my head when I think about them." So,
I love those kind of questions. I love placing these characters in the real world. We get these questions a lot on our show, so it's nice to have Oda address them.
right. And see them coming from a based on stereotypes in America that we are basing ours on.
Well, he's basing them from stereotypes in Japan, so it's slightly different.
Yeah, you get a different viewpoint. The next one, the header is from a reader in China who's from the Talk OP Pirates. And I think that was another one. I think maybe we found the them tweeting about this and retweeted it or something like that. But it is of little Lin Lin eating, I guess it looks like just a biscuit. It's like one of Cracker's biscuits. And she's got the SBS drool running down her chin. And the first question is about Katakuri, the infamous, Katakuri who is never seen eating anything. But on in chapter 861 of volume 86, there is a scene where he's holding some fruit or something like that. And he certainly seems to be eating it because there is a bite mark there. And it's like, oh my God, how do people find these things? So he says, okay, technically, it's not that Katakuri doesn't eat in front of other people. It's just that he doesn't let them see him eat. So, watch this. And then he draws this two little drawings. One is Katakuri standing there with the item in his hand. And the next one, it looks exactly the same, except there's now a bite missing out of it. He's in the same pose, except now there's a bite missing out of it. And he's like, "Do you see it? No, you didn't see it." Also, his mouth wasn't ripped from birth. There's a reason for his incredible speed, ... But I'm still thinking about whether or not to reveal that in the story.
Interesting.
So, interesting, yes.
I feel like I don't know if I'm interested in that, but I know there's probably a very large segment of the fan base who would be very interested
Yeah.
in that. It's a send
Yeah.
your pink scenario. Yeah, like,
Do
yeah,
you really need to know this?
yeah. We didn't, but
Yeah. The next question is, what is the cost per night to stay at the Rook Bedge, or I guess as the Funimation subbers might call it, the Luke Bedge.
Right.
And Oda's answer is, well, it's inside of Bedge's body. So basically, if he says it's okay, it's free. You cannot buy a reservation with money. So yeah, you can't buy your way in there. You got to win the favor of the host.
it's Capone's legitimate establishment of hotel varieties. You know, it's fine. You come in. It's fine. We're good.
Yes. And lastly, there's a question about height and giant height here. This is some good stuff. Guys like Katakuri and Doflamingo, who are real tall drinks of water, are all the rage lately. What is the height difference between them and the shortest of the giants? So here we go. Oda says, let's start with Big Mom, who, she practically looks like a giant herself. She is 8 meters and 80 centimeters, which would be 28 feet, 10 inches. That is bigger than Whitebeard. Meanwhile, the shortest that a fully grown giant can be is about 40 feet tall. So that's at least 2 heads taller than Big Mom. 40 feet is about the length of a full-sized bus or an 18-wheeler truck. If you see one of those big boys, just imagine that a giant in one piece would be about the same if it were lying down. So,
wow.
There you go.
I know we have one of our listeners, hopefully many, are truckers. So they could imagine taking their truck, standing it up on one side, and pretend they're a giant for a day, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, so Doflamingo, I guess, and the rest of them are like the size of a car, like a car laid up, you know? Is that what we're to take? And then Big Mom is like the size of like what are the smaller
like a bus
trucks?
I don't know.
Or the short
like
bus.
a white van, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, one of those creepy white vans. Exactly.
Or a school bus, probably.
Yeah.
Short bus.
What's that?
Yeah. Now we skip forward a few. There's some color spreads and a coloring section of the this is the Mugiwara 56, where they're kind of dressed up a bit like Germa spread that is done in line art so that you can color that in if you want. And then we get to our next SBS. The header is from Hippo Iron, who is one of the regulars. Tend to see the same faces all the time for these little art pieces, and this is one of looks like Rebecca with the Tentatas and Usopp looking quite bad. I guess this is their heroic Uso Land idea. It looks like he's wearing a suit of armor of some kind, and he is apparently forming the SBS with some puffs of flame and the maybe the pop green. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell what the idea is here. It looks like a festival, summer festival. So the first question is about Katakuri's face again. In 883, we got to see the shocking truth of Katakuri's face. Is it a personal policy of yours to never draw a quote-unquote perfect character? Because I know I certainly felt a lot closer to him after this. And I can easily imagine how you can get stressed when people have this, idea of you in their head, and, you have to live up to that or deal with that. And Oda says, well, that's a real nice thing, very understanding thing of you to say. Isn't Katakuri hilarious with this face? He's just hilarious. Well, I don't know if I would say that's an official policy of mine. It's just, something that I feel like that perfect people are boring. We love other people's flaws. And then he includes in parentheses, wow, that statement was really deep and cool. So There you go.
Thereby
You just, like,
showing his flaw in.
Massive ego.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, I mean, pretty straightforward thing, but just kind of why Oda always has this weird quirk or drawback to all of his characters that can never be perfectly cool.
I mean, he's right. Flawed characters are far more interesting than perfect characters.
Yep. And the next question is, where is the young master now? Referring to Doflamingo. And Oda says he is in level 6 of Impel Down. So there you go. There's your Doflamingo minute, I guess.
Is he reading the newspaper? Did anyone get him the newspaper?
The next question is Tsudu bringing Doflamingo a newspaper every day, like he asked?
Psychic accident.
Yep. And that is from pen name Ku. So they're looking for business. The news Ku. The answer is no. I doubt that she would go to those lengths just to accommodate a prisoner. But Doflamingo does know many of his fellow inmates, so I'm sure that he can use all kinds of underhanded tactics to get a paper from time to time. So, yeah, he's
that was a pretty good Doflamingo laugh there.
Yeah.
I mean, after 10 volumes and 100 chapters and episodes, he kind of got it there.
Although I would say that Oda missed an opportunity to say here that Doflamingo was pulling some strings to get some newspapers.
Well, you could always correct that.
Yeah. So there you go. He's in prison and he's finding ways to keep up on the news. The next question, this is a very burning question everyone wanted to know. Does Laoji use conditioner? And Oda's like, how the hell should I know?
Everyone, no matter our age, we all need to moisturize.
He's bald, Ed.
Sure, get the lotion, and
it's good for, he's got a beard.
That's it.
Moisturize your beard too. Next one, I think this is kind of an interesting question. How does Luffy determine what makes a lady beautiful? So why did he say that to Alvida? And the inset here is from the execution square in Logtown, where Luffy says, hey, I don't know a beautiful woman like you. So why does he say that to Alvida, but he never seems to make that distinction for other beautiful women like Nami, Robin, and Hancock? He never talks about how they're beautiful. And Oda says, yes, it is true that he called Alvida a beautiful lady. But while most people would say something like that, intending it to be a compliment, for Luffy, it is nothing more than a categorical description. So he can recognize what attractive features look like. It's just that he doesn't particularly care. So, yeah, he was basically saying, I don't know a beautiful lady like you, as a general descriptor rather than as a compliment. So, he wouldn't bother to pay compliments of that nature to the other hot ladies in his life. So there you go. Luffy's state of mind. Lastly,
for those who say there's not enough asexual representation in literature,
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Luffy's
that kind of is Luffy.
Yeah.
Exhibit number 1.
I know, legitimately so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Last SBS for this volume. The header is of a Big Mom. She's delivering an ultimatum with her, shadowed looking face and her creepy concentric circle eyes. She's asking SBS or life. And then Oda in his fish head form proudly stating SBS. And in the little question corner, caption there, one of the kanji is Jinbei's face, and he's going, "What?" So,
this is definitely my favorite in a long time.
That's a good one.
I really like this one.
Yeah. So this first question is a real kind of in-depth look here. This is some more shedding light on how the world of One Piece works. The question is about the carrier bats. So the Densho bat, as they call them in Japanese, they are kind of like the postal system of the One Piece world. Do they also deliver packages? Do pirates send each other traditional Obon gifts or holiday presents? And that is from Boneless Ham. And Oda's response is like, okay, first of all, I don't want to think about or see pirates who are considerate and polite and sending each other, traditional gifts. So none of that. That doesn't happen. But he describes, he says, carrier bats are a system primarily utilized by the world government. Civilians, however, can negotiate with news coups to have mail delivered. And there's also a private sector service called the Songbird Post, but those can't fly very far. And he has little insert illustrations. It looks like the Songbird Post is from one of the one of the chapter covers. I think that was from one of the Decks of the World things, because it has Hancock, and she's writing down a bunch of letters. I guess it's a letter to Luffy, but it's like a giant stack. And then there's the little bird who is pointing to his tiny bag. And he's like, I cannot hold this huge stack of paper. So Oda's answer is, the Songbird Post is kind of limited. They can't fly very far. There's also the Albatross Post. That can go long distances, but is rather limited in what types of mail it takes. So basically, all the non-governmental services are not very advanced. So it's more typical for pirates to send their own ships if they need to deliver something. And on top of that, it's not like they have fixed addresses. So you can imagine that, therefore, when people in the world of One Piece they have a parting, when they're going to go their separate ways, it's a bigger deal. It's a much more powerful situation than it is in the modern real world.
So did they actually mention? So they said the albatross as the long distance one, which are cool because in the real world they do travel around the globe. But do we know what kind of bird actual news coups are, or did it say that, or did I blank out for a second?
No, they're gulls, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of.
I was just reading that chapter where the one shows up for the first time and Nami haggles with him. I was just looking at that chapter again.
Yeah,
they look like gulls.
So they probably go significantly shorter distances. Is what I'm kind of getting at. They're probably,
I don't know how you could go longer than an albatross or have seem like a bird that goes longer than an albatross.
Well,
so I guess
what I'm inferring is just like the gulls carrying the paper are coming from like island hopping, essentially. They're not coming from like the central headquarters of Big News Morgan's and his Economic Times. They probably have the local distributors.
They've kind of established that they have Den Mushi fax machines. So they probably
was that just in the anime, or was that in the manga too?
They transmitted the pictures, didn't they?
That one time,
bounties.
Yeah, they've always transmitted pictures.
Yeah,
I mean, they also had the video snails.
Right.
So, I mean, the technology's all over the place in One Piece.
I mean, it's a Japanese. It's written by a Japanese person, so there's got to be a fax machine in it. So.
Oh yeah.
The video snails are ripping off our albatross posts. They're losing money on every package they send. The nationalism.
That was sad to think about. What's next?
Next question. Someone has counted up the number of questions, Oda Sensei, that you have, questions and non-questions that you have answered on the SBS segment, not including any of the games or other kind of special projects. The grand total from volumes 4 through 86 is 1,199 questions. Ba-boom. That is incredible. Good luck with answering all of your serious questions, your is that really a question questions, the jokey questions, and the gross/pervy questions. And Oda says, wow, you counted up all of the questions. Thank you. So I guess, since this is volume 88, we must be well over 1,200 by now. This is a valuable space where I get to have an honest discussion with my readers. I will continue to hold it sacred. And the last question is, question for Odachi, does John Chinjiao use conditioner? And Oda says, shut up, get the hell out of here. And then see you in the SBS next volume. So there you go, sacred SBS, the end of volume 88. Nothing really special in the end. I guess there's a little bit more, info or just kind of, hype stuff for the live action project, although it's pretty much all kind of stuff that we've seen before about the producer Marty Adelstein, and saying like, oh yeah, here we have these pictures of him, and oh yeah, he's such a good producer. You remember Prison Break? Everybody loves Prison Break. He did that, and has a little quote from him where he's says some canned thing like, hey, everybody in Japan, hope you're looking forward to this show getting made, and I can't wait to see you guys dig into it and just love what we have to show, et cetera, et cetera. So,
all right,
there you go.
We haven't heard any. That's like the newest information we have. We haven't heard anything else since it was really announced.
Yeah, I imagine it'll still be a while. And specifically, we're not putting those in the English versions either, just because nothing has been like officially announced. They have not revved up any press promotional stuff for an English release either. So obviously it doesn't make sense to print them in the English volumes. So hopefully at some point, as the process moves along,
this will be out in November here. So
yeah,
there's a very slight possibility that, they'll have some promotional something.
Some more stuff about the Tokyo Tower, the volume 333, some more Kabuki stuff. They also have a little ad for One Piece being on Netflix Japan.
That's a cool thing. I'm hoping it does well enough there that it could spread. Yeah, a little bit,
yeah,
maybe. And
the World Seeker PlayStation 4 game, which still does not have a release date, but I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of that later in the year. So yeah, there you go. That is volume 88 of One Piece. Stephen.
Yeah, as always, a valuable tool and insight to see what's going on inside the volume. I think that'll do us for this volume recap. Ready for the next segment?
I think so.
This is the anime recap for episode 831, The Broken Couple, Sanji and Pudding Enter. I'm your host, Sam, and today with me we have Ed. How's it going, Ed?
Hi. I didn't catch that was the title of this episode. That's kind of weird.
The Broken Couple?
The Broken Couple. Like, at this
they
point...
seem together at the end.
Yeah, exactly. But, good episode
I would buy that everything's good between them.
Yeah.
The title card begins at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. We're still in the 3-minute range, like for a while now, which is a real surprise to me.
Well, they got rid of that intro, so I mean, I'm not.
Well, even then, it's like not been. Usually, it still ends up in like the 4, sometimes 5-minute range.
Really, even still, wow.
So the opening scene, I remember. I wish I kind of brought it up last week when Perospero was like handing out suckers to the children and being like, "Oh, don't worry, kids, you'll be able to lick the candy escalator once it starts to melt." And in this episode, sorry, I'm stuttering. In this episode, we actually get to see the escalator melting, and all the kids are just like having a great time.
It seems like it'd be so hard to clean that candy off of yourself.
I feel like that's just a common problem that they're used to at this point.
All of Total Land has issues.
So we come to the inside where Sanji and Pudding are sort of waiting for their wedding to start. We see little, like, adorable little Sanji and Pudding wedding cake toppers.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
like she's like in his arms. Yeah.
I'm surprised that was the thing I saw from this episode posted on Twitter the most before I watched it, because I don't usually watch these until Monday before we do this. But I'm surprised no one posted more Morgans or more other stuff as well.
I saw some other stuff. So we get the guy who's gonna officiate the wedding. This kind of tall dude with spiky hair.
It's like a pentagon afro.
Yeah, he's going over the basics. We're kind of cutting in late into the conversation where he's saying, and then the groom will lift the veil and kiss the bride and all that normal stuff. Mm-hmm. Which we know that's not how it's going to go, but.
Yep.
So it's Sanji and Pudding. They're kind of sitting to the side. Sanji kind of mentions that he's getting nervous, and Pudding is putting on the doe eyes, saying "Me too." and we get like kind of a repeated shot of the big like scared, terrified Sanji face.
It's
as
like
he realizes, oh no, I might not be up for this job.
Yeah, it's the comedic like shocked. It's hard to say. He's like horrified more than anything.
Well, he's scared for his own life, I think.
That's true.
He understands that he has a weakness here.
It's not gonna stop him from looking stupid.
Outside the door, we have a little scene where Capone is he's just sort of standing there, his arms crossed, and then you hear Luffy, pounding from the inside.
Hijinks ensue.
Yeah, I like how we kind of get to. I like when we get to like kind of see Capone's powers working this way, where we see little Luffy, but then when he like moves a little too far, his head grows big. So now it's just like Luffy's head poking out of.
But
Capone's
he can
chest.
fall out of the top hole and come down into the main door, like from his head down to his belly. And
Right.
Capone is strategically not facing the door to the tea party room at this time.
Yeah, and Nami has to come in, punch Luffy in the face, and like drag his unconscious body back in.
I think everything really looked, on model this episode. Although there wasn't much to sort of splurge on with animation.
I'm still trying to figure out what I want to say about the looks in this episode.
I don't know. I enjoy quite a few of them, like the still art, and a lot of it is still art.
Right.
But I do like the way that a lot of it looks, like the way the Charlotte family in particular is drawn. And I think Yonji is eating something, and he looks like a total dweeb at one point. Like he's so clueless about what's about to happen.
Purple fruit thing.
Okay, maybe it's a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yonji,
I think we see a lot of these guys eating.
Yeah. Well, Yonji just looks like he has no idea. Like Ichiji and Niji don't look nearly as stupid as he does, and I think that's just their personalities.
Right. We have Vito peeping in on the party. He's sort of hanging over the wall and getting all excited. I like how he too is a big fanboy of Morgan's. He's like, oh, it's the guy who runs the weekly economic journal that I love so much. And
well, no, that's where
they're talking to each other, and
they publish the comic.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like he even knows the publisher. It's like I follow Sasaki on Twitter. It's like that.
Exactly. Vito would follow Morgan's on Twitter. He's kind of going over the roll call. He's mentioning all the big famous people who are here, like the eldest son and minister of candy, Perospero, the eldest daughter and minister of fruit, Compote. This is our first time meeting the eldest daughter, Compote.
She looks the most like her mother.
Yeah. Second son, sweet General Katakuri. 14th daughter, sweet General Smoothie. And then we don't get like the ministries of the third son and fourth son, Daifuku and Oven. I believe Daifuku is beans and
baking.
Oven is baking.
Yes.
Okay. Vito is talking to Capone. He's like, oh man, I'm so sad that we're gonna have to make enemies of these guys. And the door woman overhears this and is getting worried.
It's like it's a face. Like you don't think that it. Like you've seen all the other parts of the house talking. Like
right.
You got to be more careful, man.
The chess peacekeepers are arriving with Big Mom's framed photo of Mother Carmel. They set it down on the table. A couple of her guests are coming up to her and they're like, "Oh, I see that this is important to you. Can we ask how this woman is related to you, Big Mom?" And Big Mom is not cool with that. Her head gets really big and she's getting up close to them saying, "Don't stick your nose into my memories." And her conqueror's Saki knocks the guy out.
I don't know if you watched a lot of SNL in the early 90s, the Chris Farley years of that. But they do this, like they do this sketch where they play these four like California girls who hang out at a mall. And at one point, like they're being all happy and stuff, and Chris Farley like takes someone's fries off of their plate or something. He's like, I was like, "You want to calm down?" And the fries like, "Lay off me, I'm starving." It's just, and he like flips out, and he's in drag. It's a very early 90s, like it's almost like a Kids in the Hall sketch with the amount of drag they're doing. But anyway, it just reminded me of that when Big Mom goes from this happy-go-lucky to "I'm gonna kill you" like face and knocks this dude out. I'm like, wow, that's scary. That's impressive.
We see some espionage for Capone's crew. They're like kind of dressed in the chef's outfits. The real chefs are celebrating and getting drunk because of a cake well baked, I guess.
Well, they don't have to make any more food. It's all the servers now.
Yeah. And so Capone's spies are kind of like planting these horned transponder snails, which I guess they kind of disrupt signals and stuff. So
I wonder if they have
call
to
outside.
I wonder if they keep beeping or if they have to beep, because it seems very inconvenient to being stealthy.
Yeah. There's one chef who is just sober enough to recognize that these guys are suspicious.
Well, he's wandered over by that door where they're trying to sneak into. I'm not really sure if we know what's in there.
And he's like calling for security, and that's when Vito and Gotti show up, and they're like, "Oh, well, if these guys are, bad, then we'll just take them out." And then they take out the chef who is getting suspicious of them. Yep. So we have a scene where everybody is delivering their presents for Mama. They're all treasure chests, because I guess Big Mom is just like treasure chests are like her hobby.
Well, I mean, I think she's just a child who loves getting presents.
She loves getting. I mean, you can give a present, but like wrap it up in a box and.
Oh, that's true.
But
yeah.
She likes the treasure chest. She likes I'm going to open this up. I don't know what's inside it, but I know it's going to be like expensive and interesting and maybe has historical value.
Right. But that's not the point. That's not what made this scene so exciting to me.
Right. Yeah, but everyone's got their stuff. Dufeld's got something. Morgan's got something. Morgan's calls her Mamigo at one point.
That's interesting. Like, no one else calls her like a nickname like
that. So
she's surprised that he has heard about what she's got.
Well, what she's got is there's kind of a famous legend around it. It's the Tamate box that the Straw Hats gave to her at the end of Fishman Island.
Yeah.
We know what we know what the Tamate box is. It got the anime flashback to the Fishman Island scene a few months ago. But if you remember, it's a bomb. She thinks it's got like this ancient, generational treasure that's been, passed between royals, and she's super excited to find out what that means.
It's interesting that she's already forgotten. It's interesting that she's forgotten why she has it in the first place. Or maybe she just isn't telling the whole story. Probably more of the thing.
Well, she says something like, "I'm surprised that Neptune let it go so easily," which he did for Luffy.
Yeah, then that means even more of like the treasure as we saw in the Fishman Island arc. It's not even in there anymore. It's now a bomb. Right. So yeah, it does make sense that he would be able to. The box isn't the important thing.
Right. I mean, she for as far as she knows, she's just like, whoa, it's super weird that she gave this super important box to the Straw Hats. But hey, now I have it, so cool.
Right.
We have a scene where Capone is telling Caesar to get ready. Caesar pops out of his chest and he's got this mirror. He's decked out in a new suit.
He pops out of there quite quickly. It was very funny.
Yeah, he's got this giant mirror that he's going to be like flying around so that they can escape with Brûlé when need be. And
that is a very rude gesture, but I don't think that's a rude gesture that he does in Japan. I think that's something that Italians do. It might be something that he saw in. I think this is something that Oda saw or the animators saw in American gangster movies, because it's not a thing that's rude in Japan, like putting your palm like under like where you click your elbow
up yours sign.
Up yours, yeah, that one. Interesting.
So Caesar tells Capone to go check on the Straw Hats himself, because he's not on top of those guys. Capone, like, we see his head like pop out of the ceiling from inside of his own body. He sees that all the Straw Hats except for Jinbei are asleep, and Jinbei's just like, just let them sleep. They haven't gotten any in like several days, which we know is true because we've been following them.
Yeah.
Then we come back to Sanji and Pudding.
Wait, did we mention him cutting the face off the door? That was kind of a cool scene.
Yeah. So the door is like listening in, especially during the Caesar scene where like the door is like, oh no, I gotta go tell someone about this, and then just cuts the door's like face off, just scoops it out.
Yeah, it was Vito, right?
Or somebody did it.
I think it was Vito. Because Vito was the guy who had the big sword to slash that guy before, I think.
Right.
Vito or Gotti.
We're back to Sanji and Pudding. Sanji mentioned something like, he's trying to play it cool. He's saying, oh, it's like I'm dreaming. And then Pudding, puts on the doe eyes. Is it a good dream or a bad dream? And, he's freaking out on the inside. Then he starts to ask her about, because now he's starting to wonder if maybe like Pudding isn't actually the evil person he saw. Now he's entertaining the idea that, maybe that was me just dreaming. So he's like kind of trying to prod her. He's trying to ask some questions. Like he's like, the kiss. I mean, I'm willing to offer that if you're uncomfortable kissing me, we can just like make it a forehead kiss. And I interpret that as like he's trying to see if that gets a specific reaction out of her. But she's not having it at all. She's saying, "Kiss me on the mouth, silly. We are going to be husband and wife." And eruptuous nosebleed. Sanji goes flying. He's like rocketing around through the air.
And there's some good Sanji faces in here as well. Just of I usually play the episode on mute in the background while we record these things. So I just see him pulling faces of like, oh, maybe she was dreaming, but he's got his lower lip stuck out and he's doing this face, and he's got his like he's stroking his goatee. It's some good, and like, and also the face that he makes at the very end of the episode. Just
a lot of big nostril faces.
Yeah, big broad smile.
So he has a nosebleed. He falls. He's got blood all over his new suit. Pudding's pretending, "Oh no, Sanji, somebody help him!" But on the inside, we kind of see like this scene where the screen splits, and we can see like her fake face that's acting concerned, and we can see her real face, which is just like pissed off and annoyed. And she's saying, "What's wrong with this damn dirty water imp?" We come back to the party. We see a scene between Reiju, and we don't have her name in the anime yet, but it's Charlotte Cinnamon.
Oh yeah.
They're talking, like Cinnamon's like, "Oh, why don't you look happier? Why don't you smile some?" And Reiju's trying to convince her that, "Oh no, I'm happy on the inside. Don't worry about me."
You're not suspicious at all.
Right. Sparrow is, walking up behind Capone and being like, "Stay vigilant. We're counting on you." Mm-hmm. Of the sort of like screenshots that I've seen passed around on Twitter, one of my favorites was this shot where Katakuri is like sat right between Big Mom and Judge, and then the caption is like, "When your parents have friends over and force you to socialize," because he does have that like goth teen look.
Well, he's got a big scarf and he's hiding his face for whatever reason.
He's just like in between them having a conversation with each other. He looks like way out of place.
Well, it makes sense that he would be there because he can, give his power. But
I also like how like they're ordered. They're kind of sat in order of size, so like it's like Judge, Katakuri, and Big Mom. But it's easy to forget that like Judge is already like twice as tall as a normal person.
Right.
Judge is telling Mom, "Oh, this is the happiest day of my life," and Mom has this reaction like, "Me too," and it's like, you get the sense that it's secretly like really condescending. But they're cheering. They're like, "All right, to the soon to be world's strongest family." We come back to the Pudding and Sanji room. Sanji's getting redressed. They gave him a new suit to get into that is identical to his other one. They're being told to head out. Sanji is on his way out. Pudding is saying, "Oh, I'm getting really excited now," and at the end of that sentence she puts on this like creepy face. Her bangs kind of slide away for a moment so we can see her third eye again.
Mm-hmm. And this final scene is great.
Yeah. The trumpets are going, the chess peacekeepers are playing this big song. There's an announcer guy who's like the Tenkaichi announcer dude from Dragon Ball almost.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's just making big sweeping gestures like the 35th daughter of Charlotte and the third son of Finsmoke, yada yada. Everyone's getting excited except for Reiju, who continues to look very sad. There's
and they get
fireworks display.
They get Zeus to like do like darken the sky and whatnot. I'm pretty sure.
There's like these like firefly firework things that go buzzing around and explode, and we see like it looks really funky to see like perfectly like angular flags in the fireworks for Germa and the Charlotte family.
Yeah, and actually those are the designs I think they appear on the front of this year's calendar as well.
Oh. And then it's Sanji and Pudding being flown in on this big carriage thing, and they're
it's a piece of candy.
Wrapped in this.
It's wrapped.
Yeah, it's a big wrapped piece of candy that kind of fades away as they get closer to the place where they're going to be standing for the wedding.
It's like a Disney thing with all these sparklies.
Yeah. And Pudding is around Sanji's arm. She's like nuzzling against his shoulder. He looks incredibly happy. He's got the big nostrils, the dumb smile. And Capone is astonished. He's like, "What a fool. He's such a great actor." And it's like, oh no,
Acting,
oh no, Capone,
yes.
you don't know.
Right? You didn't see him shoot around the room like a firework when she made cute eyes at him earlier, like
Right, and that's,
3 minutes ago.
That brings us to the end of the episode. Any general thoughts, Ed?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, also Zeus is flying them down at the very end. He looks very stupid.
Right.
Love that guy. No, it's just again slow pacing, but art was pretty good. Some interesting choices were made. There's one shot in particular that was like this really far distance shot, sort of an establishing shot of Sanji and Pudding sitting very close to each other in this gigantic room, and they're being shot from way far away. And Big Mom has portraits of cakes on the wall, like she's, I don't know, like she's Agnes Skinner, pictures of famous cakes. Anyway, no, it's really, I really enjoyed the episode.
I was pretty whatever on the episode personally. I've
come to grips with the pace of it, but this, I felt tension and I felt movement and momentum in the story, so I was overall happy with it because the art was okay too.
I'm happy that the setup for the wedding is just like kind of out of the way right now.
Yeah, the wedding's gonna be crazy. So
yeah, it's gonna get crazy from now on, so that's cool. Let's see here. I thought that the art was definitely, I thought, was a step down from the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like really flat, like medium shots from the waist up, and it just like really didn't find it visually interesting all that much, especially compared to the last couple of episodes, which I thought looked fantastic. Yeah, it's just kind of is what it is. It's like we're kind of burning some time before things can actually get started. Which I feel like I've been saying a lot about the episodes lately. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a good mood today. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
This happens like every week. It really does depend on, like, the One Piece anime is a cipher. It just reflects my feelings back to me of like, I was in a good mood when I watched this. It's all right.
Is that all you want to say? Anything else you got?
No, I'm good.
All right, I think we can move on to the next segment then.
Sure. This is Ed. I'm back again with, I guess this is like a piece together segment this week, but we're also talking a little manga recap. It's not the manga, it's actually an interview with Eiichiro Oda that's in this week's Jump, conducted at Jump Festa 2018, with the Shonen Jump team. I think they mentioned Urian doing the interview in there at one point. But we do have something to do with this interview a little bit. Steven, do you want to sort of give them the down on that?
Yeah, I guess we can come clean that they asked us for some ideas for questions, and so I had actually, it's been a couple months because obviously this Jump Festa itself was in December, and I think they asked a few weeks before then, so it's been several months, and I completely forgot that we had done a round of brainstorming, but we came up with a whole bunch of questions, and then I think we kind of pared them down to like what seemed like reasonable interview questions, what were punchy, what were some funny ones, and submitted them. And I'm pretty sure a couple of these came out of them. It's not a super long interview, but
I think most of them are. I think most of them are ours.
Well,
that may be the case. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Given how difficult it is to get like an SBS question, this is kind of like the American version of landing a,
becoming so notable in the fan community that the official publishers ask you for suggestions.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's. I think it was a good interview. I mean, it's not as like personal as the ones he did in the One Piece magazine or anything, but we get some good sort of insights about, especially the international aspects of One Piece.
Yeah.
He had a personal meeting with Marty Adelstein, the Prison Break producer, who's going to be doing the live action. So, keeping the fans in mind. So, I mean, that's very vague, but at least they're starting from a good place.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect him to say, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, no, the worst would be saying nothing at all.
Yeah, probably.
Did anyone
I
else
thought it
have
was-
any super? Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I thought, okay, so the thing that was really interesting to me, which I think you can probably guess which one, was actually the next question after that, which was where he mentions actually changing the shape of the text balloons and kind of smoothing them. I guess probably more circular than vertical. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, huh, really? And I guess that shows that like it was working because I have never thought about that, or have never like had
I've
to grapple
totally
with that.
noticed that. Like I
Really?
noticed that like in after a certain point in the English editions, like the words fit in the bubbles like nice and snug most of the time versus the early days where they did not.
Oh, this is years before you would have been officially working on the series, though, Stephen.
Well, that could be the case, and also it could just be better typesetting. Obviously, like the really early days, as we know, they were doing some very kind of crazy Stone Age, technological things.
Production,
That was more on the sound effects side, but I think most of the time I am more concentrating on the size of the bubble and where to split sentences when they carry over so that like the amount of text is kind of proportional. But yeah, admittedly, like I cannot remember ever having to being conscious of like, okay, I don't want to use a really long, like 4-syllable word that needs to be broken over 3 separate lines of text. Because this bubble is so narrow. So I think, that definitely helps. That's cool.
See, that wasn't the question I thought you were going to talk about, Stephen. I think, Sam, you're going there.
Yeah, because he continues and he has some very kind words to say for his translators.
Oh, yeah, that is true. He did say he's thankful, which is cool. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, and apparently Ryan thinks you are very funny.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it from the man's lips himself. Ryan's not what is.
Yeah.
But,
Alex, was there like a favorite question that you had or a favorite answer that he gave?
I really liked the whole thing. I'll be perfectly honest. More than anything, I really enjoyed him talking about how he ticks, like how his mind works. My big thing with One Piece is that, and with Oda, is that there's limitless creativity, and it's cool to see how he manages that.
It's not even like it's almost like not a voluntary process.
Yeah, it just happens. Like he's saying that, everything that he sees and experiences in real life, he basically uses in the manga and figures out ways to put it in the manga. And aside from all the stuff that's in his notebook, it's still like all the stuff that goes in his notebook is just hypothetical situations that may occur in the real world. I really loved his example of, I wish my arm would stretch so that I could reach that drink. That's it's just something as simple as that became part of the show, series premise.
Devil fruits are actually such simple as they're answers to such simple problems. I think the devil fruits in general.
Yeah, I think that answer is that is super interesting because I think that like a big function of like any kind of creativity, it's almost less about like being more creative than another person, just more having a better mind for like seeing opportunities, because your mind has ideas all the time. You just normally don't think to use them,
right? To incorporate them. I really like how like you can tell just even through this kind of short-ish interview, like how well he's able to kind of establish a rapport and come across as sort of funny. And it's a common thing, I think, especially for like manga artists who tend to, because of the nature of their job, they tend to be kind of shut up in a room and don't interact with people that often. A lot of them are really shy, or like they just kind of don't have a great like personality that kind of pops off the page. But like just seeing how him like in the interview pointing at Urian and saying like, if I saw you in town, like I would get an idea for how to use you in my manga.
You know what Urian was wearing at this point?
I don't know, but you can assume it was probably something outlandish. Yeah. So just being able to riff off of stuff like that I think is funny, and like, you know, him joking about like, why did you ask about Senor Pink?
Why are you
Why?
asking?
I mean, it's Uriah, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it's I also like he talks a little bit about his creative process with his inking and penciling, and also a bit about Buggy's return at Impel Down. I don't think we need to really go over all of that unless you had a sort of specific thought you wanted to anyone wanted to mention.
I think it's a valuable example of like another aspect of his creative process that I think a lot of people, especially, you know, when it comes to like fan theorizing and discussions and like who's going to show, what's going to happen here and there. And a lot of it is kind of based around a specific type of logic or story logic. And this kind of shows you that sometimes he just like wants the right mood or the right kind of idea to offset some other mood. You know, like in this case, he just wants a character who is funny and wacky and who will lighten the atmosphere and
of the
that's
prison.
like right of this prison. And yeah, like that's such an Oda thing to do, as you know, he has such a keen understanding or feeling of like how the tone of whatever he's working on is coming across, and always finding a way to balance that and leaven that with humor. And like that's a really, I think, a good example of how he's able to do that when in ways that are surprising. And it's because he's not necessarily concerned as much about like, why would this character be there, as like, oh, I can totally put him in there and that's going to be hilarious.
Well, it's already
Right.
like, what characters in One Piece have I written that are funny and also in prison right now? Like, because that's where the story left him off. The last place he was being captured. Well, of course he could be the funny guy in prison.
Well, Buggy, like, he kind of wrote Buggy in. We hadn't seen Buggy get carted away to prison before that.
Oh, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, with the Baroque Works agents, that's different. But for Buggy, he kind of fabricated a reason why he was in the prison, which I think is awesome. Just how that little decision could have, that little decision brought Buggy to Marineford and made him a warlord. So it's funny that like a little tiny decision regarding like a tone kind of decision would affect this character coming back in such a large capacity.
Right.
And finally, I do love Oda. Or Sam, did you have something?
I was going to say like that answer, the way Oda phrased it, that reads to me as a man who has no idea what he's going to do with Gecko Moria.
I could see that.
Yeah.
No, but that's still nice. That the fact that like he can just come up with a reason and it's fine because it's One Piece. I love that he says that I can bring back anyone. It gives him like a vast library of characters to use in any specific way he wants, which I think is something like an advantage that he has over over a series wherein all the guys die. I mean, we've talked on this show, of course, about like, Oda should have killed X or Y. But at the same time, that makes anybody's death in the series more impactful. I like the option to bring back anybody for any particular reason. It's
And I found Oda's comment at the end very, I don't know, I just found it very amusing. I have all these ideas, and there's not much time left, so we're only using the really super awesome ones.
Yeah, that's like the best way to promote yourself I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have final thoughts about the interview?
It was cool to be a part of it. I don't think I even submitted any questions. I was like, you guys, you guys submit what you want, and we'll help figure out what's best to ask. But I think that was really, really fun, and I think I could probably speak for everyone else when I say that we're all kind of grateful to Alexi and the gang. To get to have these questions asked. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a cool thing. If I ever meet Oda in person, however, I'm going to ask him the question that wasn't selected. Does he poop?
I think he would appreciate it.
Well, I need to know. A man gets to know.
We know he doesn't sleep, so it's a reasonable question.
It's true.
Okay, I think we also have some piece together going on. Just a few questions for the break week. Sam, was there anything on Dispy?
We have one disc piece this week. This is from Sparrow is Mr. 3.
Whoa.
Okay.
Mind blown.
It's so lucky for Buggy. I was thinking about this that he ended up with Mr. 3. Like, because all of Buggy's plans kind of sucked. But Mr. 3 is actually kind of a genius.
Sparrow is Mr. 3 asks, what do you think about the theory that Kaido is the fourth road poneglyph that ate a devil fruit? Perhaps the poneglyph's indestructibility is why Kaido is seemingly invincible. Maybe he took over Wano and is trying to get info from the Kozuki clan not because he wants to find Raftel, but so he can learn the secret to destroying poneglyphs / himself.
Wow.
I think it would be more likely if he had just swallowed the poneglyph and was a giant cube instead, and it was like, it's underneath my skin. You cannot harm me now. I'm impervious or something.
I don't know. It does kind of
that seems really out there.
I mean, it has a logic to it, though. He does have reasons, which
the ideas
I
connect.
appreciate. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the sort of thing Oda would do. Right. I don't know. He's pretty creative. All right. Let's see. Steven, was there anything on Reddit?
Yeah, we have a couple. Let's see. I can start off with, we actually have two suggestions here. Xeno Logo suggests, how about calling the trivia section puzzle pieces? And Chit Talker chimes in with, I was coming here to say piece of the puzzle. So there you go. There's another theme to work with.
Yeah, we can try those on next week when the trivia segment comes back.
Just call it something different each week.
Yeah.
Next week, but I want it now.
Okay.
Let's see. Gear 56 has a question. I agree with you guys that however it happens, all of the Straw Hat crew in Whole Cake Island will survive the bad end musical. Because it is difficult to predict how they'll do that, instead of asking that, I want to know, what is your worst nightmare on how this situation will be resolved by Oda? Example, mine is if Luffy suddenly awakened his devil fruit power to turn Sunny into rubber and bounced off the supposedly incoming cannon from the Queen Mama Shantae. I prayed that this does not happen.
Actually, at this point, that wouldn't be as bad as it would have been in the past, because we've been primed for this kind of awakening nonsense. Like, the worst thing would be something that's both out of left field and sucks. Man, I don't know. It's just anything where none of the. I hate to say, like, the characters have to learn something at the end, but like, there has to be some sort of character movement with. If this resolves without like putting Big Mom and Big Mom's past and like even a little bit and Giants, like, I don't know what did we even do here?
Yeah. I mean, because. I don't know. It's a tough one because I'm thinking right now of the Bad End musical. It's like throwing the spirit bomb and the spirit bomb failing, and now something amazing has to happen in order to get them out of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. BTAD NYC actually has a bunch of questions. I'm just gonna pick one here. Another idea for a break week: rank pirate ships that have been named throughout the series. So, what are some of your favorite pirate ships that we have seen in One Piece?
Mom's is pretty good.
Yeah, it is really good. Of course, it's on the tip of the tongue because of it's right in the story right now. But
it's also alive.
Yeah. The Sexy Foxy, I think, is consistently underrated. It seems like the most fun ship.
It's also got a pretty sweet name. Yeah. I love the Castello Nostra.
Nostra Castello, our
Nostra
castle.
Castello.
Yeah, it's a fucking tank.
Well, yeah.
It's got tank treads. That was one of the things like that I noted pretty recently about this particular arc, or when that ship showed up, I was like, this is the coolest ship we've seen in like forever. Ugh.
Since
It
the
was
Moby
a
Dick,
tank.
really. I mean, and the Moby Dick we first saw back during Jaya.
Yeah. What are you, Steven?
Huh? Me? Man, I don't know. I can't get over the fact that I'm like trying to think about being on Foxy's ship, and like that would really suck to work on that ship because it's just like full of booby trap rooms for his stupid duels.
Yeah, there's an entire room that's nothing but mirrors, just for
Yeah.
And then there's spikes and fire in that room, right?
yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's kind of funny to think of this being like a cool ship, but I've always, like, whenever I think of ships that were really striking to me, I always think of Wapple's ship and how we're introduced to it with like fucking which one was it? Chess, who was standing on it in the middle of the ocean, just in nowhere, and then it like pops up out of the water. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. Chess was the really weird looking one. Kuro Marimo had the afro, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ship has two phases. It's got the weird submarine that turns into like this weird orbish submarine. And
then it opens like a Polly Pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some really good ones that I just can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, like the Maxim's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, the Max with the big gold face on it.
Call that a pirate ship. But
he pretty well. Although he defeated the space pirates on the moon, right?
Yeah. I know. Oh, we don't really get to see it in action because it gets carved up pretty quick. But Don Krieg's galleon is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that's because of the scale.
Yeah. That was like the first really huge ship that we saw in the series.
Well, except for Elvida's, I think, and maybe was that just in the anime?
Yeah, because
big swan head thing.
Yeah, the lovely Miss Swan. I think it's probably not Miss Swan. That's a character from Mad TV.
Oh God, yeah,
Looking like a man.
Looking like a man. Yep.
I haven't thought about that in years.
I'm sure anybody who plays Treasure Cruise is going to tweet at us with the name of the ship.
Speaking of Apu stereotypes, let's see. Black Northwind has been trying to ask this question, but I have been picking other ones. So now that we're on a break week, we'll ask this one. Could perhaps Robin, during the 2-year time skip with the Revolutionary Army, have taught someone else how to read a poneglyph? I thought that would be something that Dragon could have asked her to do, because otherwise, why would he just let her go so easily? How that idea didn't dawn on me back at Zoe in 818 is beyond me.
Well, not letting her go would be the sort of thing that a villain would do.
Right? Yeah. Dragon isn't like a bad guy.
As far as we know, he has similar ideals of freedom. Well, actually, he hasn't said that, but based on what we know of the Revolutionary Army, it seems opposite of what they would do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it even the kind of thing a person can learn?
I don't know. Well, I mean, Robin.
She had to learn it. Yeah.
Yeah, she had to learn it. I guess. Yeah, this is kind of a tricky question, because on the one hand, I would feel like that would be that could have easily been a plot point that he could have worked in earlier. But on the other hand, that's the exact sort of thing that Oda like keeps close to his chest and then reveals when it's most germane to the story. So,
like, because why couldn't she have taught Nami? And Nami was allegedly one of the smartest people in East Blue, like, except for like Ben Beckman or whatever, in a very early SBS question.
Yeah, well, different types of book smarts, I guess, or application. Yeah, I see. I guess I would say that because the kind of the backstory or the ongoing plot with the Revolutionary Army right now seems to be kind of them and Burgess and the Blackbeard pirates, that I feel like that's something that he would not have if the revolutionaries become important to searching for the final poneglyph, then we would find out something like that, but not just kind of in the middle of nowhere in story terms.
Right.
Last one on Reddit comes from Ishin177, who says, hope you're making it through this cliffhanger of a break better than I am. Unfortunately, this break gave me plenty of time to think, like, what if a puppy ate the lamp fruit instead of Daifuku, and you just gave him tummy rubs? Would that bring the genie out?
Yeah.
We all know what happens to a pupper when your tummy rubs hit just the right spot.
God.
But would it affect the genie?
Well, he'd be a real genie weenie now, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
God.
Monica would be more true than ever.
You know, I've never thought about what a dog genie would look like, but it's just like
he's going to be the red genie from Aladdin.
oh,
I mean, does the genie take the form of the user, or would it be like a genie coming out of a dog?
A puppy genie. I think it has to be a dog genie.
Like McGruff?
Yeah.
Take a bite out of your wishes. I don't know.
Also, in your opinion, does the bird fruit model Phoenix, aka pineapple, belong on pizza or not?
Oh, the cursed question.
I'd rather have pineapple in an omelet than on pizza.
I don't think I've ever had that.
It's not. I mean, it's not bad, frankly.
I don't understand what people are griping about. Pineapple on a pizza is perfectly cromulent.
I know. I have a very limited amount of acceptable pizza toppings, personally. So.
Now, let me tell you though. Last year, I had some friends over to watch WrestleMania, and we ordered Domino's, and I insisted that one of the pizzas be jalapeno and pineapple, because I was thinking, well, spicy and sweet is a pretty good combination. Unfortunately, this also being Domino's, it wasn't. It was probably one of the worst pizzas I've ever had. I also don't mind Domino's, but that flavor combination wasn't nearly as good as I was hoping for.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on what else is on the pineapple pizza.
Seems very acidic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. With the tomato sauce, yeah. Okay. We got some Piece the Tweet. Piece of tweet this week. First one comes from Operation Druid, who says, if the Charlotte family were Simpsons characters, who would they be?
Well, that's a lot of. You have about as many.
I think Paris Sparrow would be.
Yeah.
Paris Sparrow would be.
Mr. Burns.
No, he'd be Smithers.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. So I guess Big Mom would be Mr. Burns if we're going by the hierarchy.
Hey, they all have. She, much like Mr. Burns, has many varied and conflicting stories about her past.
That's true.
That is, yeah. That's a good point.
All right. Well, which Charlotte family member helped to invent grunge? According to
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
Simpsons retcons. There's an episode of The Simpsons that retconned Marge and Homer's first meeting, and
that's unfortunate because that's
it puts them in the 90s. Yeah.
What?
Oof.
It undoes the way we was completely.
I can't wait for the Talking Simpsons on that one.
I can.
You can.
It's like season. Yeah, it's like season 19 or something like that. Anyway, it's somewhere down the line.
Anyone else have a Simpsons character?
Ooh.
Let's see.
Man, that is tough.
It is a tough one. Because in my mind, I'm also thinking about how all these characters relate to each other too, not just in terms of how their demeanor is.
It's just Cletus's family, right? Why isn't Steve here today?
Yeah,
all the eldest sons who are like 14 feet tall, they're all the very tall man. There's like 5 of them.
They're they're all like what, Dolph, Jimbo, and Kearney. They're the three Oven, Daifuku, and Katakuri.
Yes, that's excellent.
That's pretty good.
I love that. Yeah.
Who's Montour?
Montour.
He's kind of Milhouse.
No, he's too competent to be Milhouse.
Yeah. He's too grumpy to be Milhouse.
Actually, is he the one with the book powers? No, that's Opera.
Yeah.
Is Montour is the one with book powers, and he's Martin?
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah.
Were you saying that? Bobbin is Milhouse?
Kind of. Yeah.
I just want to see those dumb like his dumb Coke bottle glasses through that like weird face thing that Biden has.
Any other...
Hey Bart.
Okay. Anyone? Any other ones? We got a couple more questions here. Okay, next one from our friend of the show, Joe, says, last week you mentioned the idea of Sakazuki hardening underwater. Or is this the one where I suggested that he turn into an island? I think that was the one we're talking about. But what if he's capable of being immune to the effects of water by utilizing the Leidenfrost effect, which I think is where the rock solidifies on the outside, but it's still...
Well, no, I think... Wait, because I was just watching this MythBusters the other day. What's it called?
Leidenfrost effect.
Because I think that's the thing where like basically steam protects you.
Oh, here it is. The Leidenfrost effect is a physical phenomenon in which a liquid in near contact with a mass significantly hotter than the liquid's boiling point produces an insulating vapor layer, keeping that liquid from boiling rapidly. Due to this repulsive force, a droplet hovers over the surface rather than making physical contact with it. Wow, that's actually interesting.
That is interesting.
So it's like he burns so hot that like there's just kind of steam around him when he's underwater,
There's
and
such a
then
thick
he's not
layer
actually
of
drowning.
steam that the water is not actually touching him. But the steam it's also seawater steam, but I don't know. There's something there.
I feel like if Oda was going to use that like conceptually, I think he would just say like, oh, he's so hot he's evaporating all the water and it can't actually touch him.
Right, and it might be directly inspired. It might
Right.
be directly inspired by this, but I don't think he would use that unless Nami was explaining.
You wouldn't
what it was.
name drop it necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
I would have figured that his powers would work very similar to Kuzan's in that he can't, step on water to create a foothold, right? But he can do it through his bicycle, or he can freeze it beforehand. So I would assume that Sakazuki could do something similar, like something similar to Kuzan's Ice Age power.
Like what Oven did recently.
Yeah, like you can still use your powers when you're underwater or submerged in some way. You just are weak.
It depends on what kind of fruit you have. Like Luffy can use his powers because his body is just permanently rubber. But I think a Logia, their power gets turned off if you're drowning.
Well, we'll see. A couple more questions. I'm going to do these out of order because the last one sort of needs to be last here. First one comes from QuipQuest, who says, I can't wait for the next movie because that means Jinbei will have to be in it by default. The two greatest words in the English language.
Default?
Default.
Well, don't count your chickens before they hatch. I remember when Frankie was very, very close to being a crew member in the manga. He still didn't show up in the newest movie, so...
Which would have been, what, movie 7 at the time?
I believe it was movie 7. Yeah.
Which is funny, because it was the mechanical soldier of Katakuri Castle.
Yeah, it was a huge fucking bummer. Like, that movie could have used a little bit Frankie.
Although, I don't think the next movie is very, very close, so...
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, I thought you meant the movie after the Katakuri Island, which is the Alabasta movie.
It's called Katakuri Island?
Karakuri, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I messed that up too. I have Katakuri on the mind.
Clockwork Island, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Next one, or last one, comes from 91 Ryan, who has a joke for us. He says, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Will of D.
Will of D who?
Will of D's nuts!
Nice. I was thinking that too. I'm like, man, I could easily make a sweet D's nuts joke right now, but...
Anyway, he actually had a real question too.
Good.
I don't even know if anyone has an answer for this, because I don't usually remember these kinds of things, but name the worst and best chapter of each arc.
What?
Well, the best and worst chapter?
I mean, I don't even know, like, I couldn't name them by number if you asked me.
All right.
It's like proposing a series of podcasts in this one question.
God, I feel like getting like, so when David Simon was asked, what's your favorite episode of The Wire or something like that, I'm paraphrasing, and David Simon said something to the effect of, you can't have a favorite episode of The Wire because each season is one chapter.
All
So
the pieces matter.
yeah, so I feel like when it comes to chapters, like I don't know, like I wouldn't be able to tell you my favorite chapter of One Piece because in the grand scheme of things, uh, all of these chapters equal,
Right.
one part of the story. So
Mhm.
it's harder to do that, especially when you have an anime adaptation, where the pacing is slightly different from that of the chapters as well.
Mm-hmm. So it just throws everything off. Like things you
Yeah.
remembered being together maybe didn't happen in the manga together.
Yeah.
Especially with earlier episodes where a lot of people watched more of the anime than reading the manga. Especially if you were coming up in a time when things weren't readily available.
Yep.
But anyway, that's it for the piece together this week. Why don't we round off the show?
All right.
This has been the One Piece podcast for the week of Monday, April 9th, 2018. Good show this week. Unfortunately, we have a break in the manga, so we had a recap of the SBS from volume 88, Stephen?
88.
88. Including some of the other material that was in there as well. Not just the SBS. I think there was a bit about the American live action production in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had an anime recap for Sam. You got that episode?
That was episode 831.
Cool. And we also had a discussion and some piece together about the interview with Eiichiro Oda from Jump Festa that appeared in this week's Jump. So please check that out. But until then, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. For some, I think at the $3 level, you get access to our entire back catalog. And I think at one of the higher levels, there's also bonus episodes, outtakes as well. Check those out. But at this point, Stephen, thank you for coming on this week. Where can the good people out there find you?
You may follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus for various manga and pet-related thoughts and pictures.
And occasionally baseball as well.
Yeah. Season has begun.
See, it is the season. And Sam.
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Black Clover. And they can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
My Hero Academia is back. I have to watch that. I'm excited. And Alex, where can the people online find you?
You can find me at Dude Exclamation on Twitter and Instagram, and various other places. Hey, I frequent Twitter, and there's this really great Twitter feed called Weeb Simpsons that's really good that I don't have any part in.
What if everyone? I mean, it just explores if everyone in Springfield was a huge weeb.
Yeah, it's written like a spec script. It's very funny, so please check that out. But you don't have to take my word for it.
All right, the podcast. I am Edward E. One Piece on Twitter. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast at gmail.com is our email address. Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast is a good place to leave us some piece together. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. That's 347-497-MAJI. That's 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, your theories, your reasons why Oda... Actually, he should keep taking weeks off. I'm sure the man needs it.
Yeah.
Let him sleep in once in a while. But
I forgot. I'll also listen to Toho Yaro, the
absolutely.
Japanese...
Yes.
Yeah, the Japanese film podcast that I do with Joey Weiser and Scott Dryman. Our latest episode is Female Prisoner number 701 Scorpion, starring Meiko Kaji. And if you listen to the episode, you could have a chance to win a Meiko Kaji book, courtesy of Arrow Films and Mr. Joey Weiser.
Indeed. And I mean, Joey sounded pretty excited about that when he mentioned it on the show last week. So yeah, definitely give that a listen. I think he was the one who was hosting that episode, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a great episode. Check out the movie if you're content warning. It's kind of extreme, but all in all a good movie. And if you want to jump into Meiko Kaji as an actress, this is a great way to do it.
Cool. So for the One Piece podcast, my name is Ed.
My name is Alex.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So long.
Bye bye.
What do I think of?
Genie dog. Oh, like a weenie dog.
Oh my god!
A jeaner dog.